most of you know me. I'm Frank Lee, founder and director of CASPIR Paranormal. We've been going for several years. Started in 2013. I've been actually investigating. Next month will be 20 years since my first paranormal investigation. So, been at it just a little while. My presentation is a little bit different than a lot that you'll see in my which my approach is a little bit different. Most people talk about we're looking for answers. That's the big thing. We're always looking for answers. The problem is we are not really gauging ourselves. Are we asking questions? If we're not asking the right questions, then we're never going to get the right answers, or the ones that we're looking for. Kind of reminds me of something that happened. I've got 2 daughters. Every once in a while, they're going public with me. That's fine. You think after as long as they've been on my birthday.
Oh, okay. Where you want
Remember, they haven't learned this yet. I remember, and you may remember this, the little KFC meals that they used to have for kids. Came with, the little drumstick, and you could get, one little item, get maybe a drumstick, some mashed potatoes. Well, we go ahead and order. My oldest daughter, she was 9. She got a regular meal. My younger daughter, she was 5. She wanted the kids' meal. I said, I want the kids' meal for later. The cashier asked me, which side? Well, without thinking about it, just naturally, this is the type of person I am. I said, I've never really thought about it. I guess give me the right leg. And she looked puzzled. Well, she's like, no, which side aisle? Well, did she ask me which side aisle? No. She didn't ask the right question, so she didn't get the right answer. And that's kind of what we're talking about today with the paranormal, is asking the right questions to make sure we're getting the right answers. Because I do see similar things happen often. A lot of us are trying to figure out if we're getting the right or the left leg on that chicken when we're looking for the wrong thing. So just to kind of introduce myself for anybody that doesn't know about me. I've always loved science. Always been fascinated by what science can't explain. That is kind of what drew me to the paranormal. A lot of people get into it because they have an experience, or they go through something, or they're more interested in ghosts. Me, I was kind of more, okay, we know that we can put this in an equation. We can do this. We have a scientific law for this. Science looks at this and scratches its head, and I think that's amazing. And that's not anything new. I was always that way. I remember in the 2nd grade, all the other kids were reading things like Sesame Street books and Clifford the Big Red Dog and all of that. I was reading Mysteries of Easter Island, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, reading about the Bermuda Triangle, and all this stuff that is like, there's got to be something to that. And so that's always been my big thing. Like I was mentioning, I began studying paranormal and unexplained at a young age. Always been oriented more toward research. That is my thing. And we'll definitely get into that more. I believe that the most logical answer is typically the correct one. I believe in what's called the KISS method. A lot of you have probably heard of that, especially if you're ever in the military, to keep it simple, stupid. That I think that applies to many things. especially paranormal. Then, like I mentioned before, my first paranormal investigation was in September of '99, so 20 years ago. What I enjoy most, I mentioned that, I'm all about research. Mostly I enjoy teaching, the research side of it, and I like talking to investigators, to researchers, and trying to get them to think a little bit outside the box and get away from the typical mindset. Kind of get into those questions that they might have never thought of. All right, and with my approach, it is untraditional. It does challenge what a lot of people have always heard, what a lot of people have always believed. It's not to offend anyone. I'm somebody that I don't ridicule anyone for what they believe or their approach. I don't, have anything like that. But I always want people to look at this and go, why am I doing this way? How can I benefit from it? How can I improve on it? Because that is my goal, is for anyone, whether you're an investigator, whether you're an enthusiast, how can I help you be better at what you're doing while I improve myself? That is my ultimate goal. So that's why I put this up here about comfort zones. Thing about comfort zones, though, is they challenge you. They call it a comfort zone for a reason. You get in a rut, and you're like, hey, this is my thing, I'm happy here. But have you ever grown inside a comfort zone? That it doesn't happen. And that's why I'm showing these pictures here. And if you look, that guy in those pictures is all me. I used to be 352 pounds. And I mean, no, I'm not exactly skinny by any means, but you can say I'm obviously not 352 pounds. And the reason is pushing outside that comfort zone. Had I never challenged myself, had I never changed what I was doing, then I would still be that size. And, I have a thing, this is, we're small group, we're not on a big time constraint. So I can tell you a little bit more. In 2016, I went to the doctor. I had blood work done. Just going in, I always hated going to the doctor, but every once in a while they would sucker me into coming in and doing a physical. And usually everything was okay. They told me in 2016 that I had the early markers for fatty liver disease. And that scared me because at that time I was 38 years old. And I knew that, that was serious. My mother passed away when she was 49 years old from non-alcoholic cirrhosis. So I knew me at 38 already had a diagnosis that if I didn't make a major change, what I was headed for. And that was my wake-up call. So I knew something had to be done differently. And now I just went last month to the doctor. I have no markers whatsoever for fatty liver disease. It's all because I got out of that comfort zone that had got me into that shape. So that's just one example. Comfort zones can apply to finances, they can apply to work, they can apply to research, they can apply to anything. But you're never going to make a change if you're comfortable. So that's why we have to challenge ourselves. So a little bit more about me, Army veteran. That explains my dark sense of humor and a lot of the quirks that I have. I played with some rock bands. Some of you might not know about that. Did a a variety of bands, to say the least, here that you can see. I did everything from the traditional stuff to kind of the more the, out there stuff, but hey, it is what it is, right? Then the important information. I'm always serious and never ever sarcastic. And if you believe that, then I've got some property for sale I'll talk to you about. If you like Oceanside, it's up in Montana, beautiful area. Like I said, always serious. But seriously, I do take paranormal research seriously. However, I believe that paranormal is multidisciplinary. It's something that you can't just go in and say, I'm going to learn about the paranormal. You've got to know so many different areas to be able to be effective with paranormal. You've got to understand a little bit about biology. You've got to understand physical science. You've got to, when you're investigating somewhere, it's kind of like Alex and Kevin both had mentioned, somebody calls you up and the lights are flickering or something strange is going on. Well, if you don't know how to tell if that's electrical or is this person having some kind of medical issue or psychological issue that's making them imagine it, if you have to know several different areas to be able to put that whole picture together to spot it. So a lot of training goes into learning how to investigate the paranormal. And a lot of people don't realize it because unfortunately, when you're sitting there watching Ghost Adventures or something like that, they don't show that aspect of it. I do believe serious research can be fun, and it should be. If you're not enjoying what you're doing, why are you doing it? That is my approach to pretty much everything. Yes, you do need to be serious with some things, but even when you're being serious, you can make it fun. I value facts and data gathered from research over traditions, beliefs, emotions, and opinions, including my own. I always make sure to put that in there. I've had to stop, change gears, and I know Kat back there, that there's been many times that I've had to say, and even on her show, that I've said, I put this idea out there back a while back, a year or 2 years ago, that this was going on. Well, guess what? I was completely wrong. And I'm going to tell you, if you have never been wrong about something, then you're not doing anything. So that, and there's been a lot of times that I've been right or wrong about something, even though I didn't want to be. And like I was saying earlier, my main objective is to make you think outside your comfort zone so that you can be the best at what you're doing. All right, so this is the CASPIR Paranormal team. You might recognize some of the people in that picture right there, especially the two on the left there toward the front. But it was founded in February 2013, and you can see it's founded by me, Donald Davis, Jennifer Davis, and Pink Floyd, and yes, that is her legal given name. Her parents were, might have been a little bit on the hippie side, but they actually met on Peter Frampton's road crew, touring with him. Mother was his, has always been his guitar tech. And then her dad was on the lighting crew. So she's lucky, at least she got named Pink Floyd, not Peter Frampton. We focus more on the people than the location, which we'll get more into that here in just a few minutes. We're not for profit, based out of Pell City. If you've never seen it on the map before, it's purple. Can't miss it. If you Google Pill City, the funny thing is, I have friends literally all over the world, and a lot of people who've never heard of it. If they Google Pill City, the first thing that pops up is the guy that knocked the smokestack down on top of himself, because that's like on every ocean train video there is now. And so you know, you got to be famous for something, right? So there's all the team members. I've got all this up on our website. So some of the places we've investigated, Old South Pittsburgh Hospital, we've done the Pickens County Courthouse there in Carrollton, Alabama. The place is famous for the face in the window. Brown's Mansion out in Coffeyville, Kansas. That was an interesting place. The Constantine Theater in Pawhuska, Oklahoma, which that's an interesting place to visit. Also, if anybody ever seen the Pioneer Woman on TV that does the cooking and stuff? You know, she's got her little restaurant. That place is worth going to investigate because it's directly across the street from her restaurant. Get the chicken fried steak. We did the Villisca Axe Murder House. That is, that's the place that I would love to go back to. You know, anytime you hear that place mentioned, everybody talks about how scary it is. It's not scary at all. However, the activity that you get there is phenomenal. That is one of the few places that I've been to that there was no question, hey, this is intelligent activity. And that is, for the things to happen that it is that direct, it's extremely rare. So definitely worth it. Missouri State Penitentiary, we did investigation there. I was the only one crazy enough to lock myself in the gas chamber. Nobody else wanted to play. Did the USS Batfish. That's a World War II submarine out in Muskogee, Oklahoma. Yes, you read that right. Because, you know, Muskogee, Oklahoma is such a naval, you know, area there, with all the oceans converging all in the middle of Oklahoma. You know, I got some oceanfront property that I'll say, if you believe that in the first slide, that may not be sarcastic. Yeah, it's funny. You go up to the submarine, or well, you're going down the turnpike on the way to Tulsa, and you look over and you see this giant submarine sitting out in the middle of the field. And you know, strange sight there. Actually, this is I'll know how they can see it. They're in that picture. Moon River Brewing Company out in Savannah, Georgia. I'm sure that probably heard of the Whaley House out in San Diego, California. And none of you've probably ever heard of this place, Sloss Furnace. It's out, you know, somewhere in the south. I'll probably never see it. Some of the things we're working on right now. There are a couple different projects, you know. Some of the things we do are kind of unique. One of them is called the Silent Ghost Box. We'll talk about this a little later on. Kat and I are going to be talking about some research here in just a little while. We'll be talking about some of these things. Frequency and tone generator experiments, something that we work with. And the modified Gansfeld experiment. That is probably the weirdest looking thing that we do because, you know, it has the red light. Somebody's sitting there with ping pong balls across their eyes, and, you know, it definitely unique looking. So great results, looks great. So, you know, some about roles in the paranormal. What is your role in the paranormal? A lot of people fall into this category, paranormal enthusiasts. Usually they tend to be more interested in paranormal pop culture. You know, what's going on TV? Hey, let's go to this haunted house. Let's check out this ghost story. You know, they might have thought about joining a paranormal team, but, you know, not really on the fence. They're more just, you know, it's a hobby. It's something they enjoy. There's nothing wrong with that. But that's kind of where they come in. You have the ghost hunters. I know everybody's heard that term before. Sometimes they belong to a team. They like exploring abandoned places, cemeteries, places like that. They typically enjoy legend tripping, you know, like, hey, I heard there's this, you know, read on this website, there's this bridge. If you go out at 3 in the morning and you stop the car and you turn off the headlights and knock on the hood 3 times and honk the horn 4 times and then walk around the car in a circle, there's going to be a baby up here over here, and then a woman's going to appear over here with a lollipop. Let's go out there and see if it happens. You know, that sort of thing. They, you know, actively seek out places to check out like that. Spend money on gadgets, apps that they've seen on TV and YouTube videos, in hopes of capturing paranormal evidence with them. And that's definitely something we're going to talk about. Mostly motivated by getting a good scare or thrill out of it. You know, they're not really researchers. It's a little bit more than just something they're interested in, because they're acting on it. They're actually getting out doing things, but not quite an investigator. And then, of course, you do have the investigator. You know, they often belong to a team. They actively seek out haunted places. Their motivations vary. You know, some want to help people. Quite a lot of people that are investigators I've talked to. What got them into it? So they're like, hey, I know about this, or maybe they're sensitive to things, or, you know, they want to go out and, you know, help people with the stuff that they have going on at their house that they're afraid of, and, you know, a lot of good intentions there. Some are seeking proof of the paranormal. They want to document it. They want to find it. Some, you know, there's a lot less of them, but some of them are motivated more by research. They tend to be a little bit more skeptical of TV shows. Now, if you think about it, why would the investigator be a little bit more skeptical of the TV shows than the ghost hunter or the enthusiast? That, you know, there's a good reason for that. Because the enthusiast hasn't, you know, if you look at them, they haven't been out and done the investigations that the investigator has. See, this investigator, he's been out to a lot of locations, has combed through a lot of data, has watched a lot of hours on the video of nothing. Of them setting up all those cameras, nothing happens all night, nobody gets anything, or what they do see that first looks strange, they're able to debunk within 5 minutes of seeing. So their whole way of operating is a lot different than the enthusiast or the ghost hunter. So of course they watch the TV show where every time they go somewhere something sensational happens, and, you know, 5 minutes into the program everything's going crazy and all of this. So it'd be kind of hard for them to not be at least a little bit skeptical of TV shows. After doing that for so long, if they're not a little skeptical of them, they probably haven't been doing that many investigations. Speaking of skeptical, you know, there are a couple of different roles within the paranormal, and a couple of different types of people within those roles. You got what I would call a fervent believer. And these, you know, a fervent believer, usually somebody says, you know, Brett Scott Lewis back here, I'm going to pick on you a little bit. You know, say I'm a hardcore skeptic. He's a hardcore believer. He says, You know, he says, ghosts are absolutely real. You will not convince me otherwise. That is, I know what I saw. I know what I've heard. Blah, blah, blah. I say, no, Lewis, I don't think ghosts are real. I think it's just your imagination. And he said, you know what, Frank, you're a big dummy. I mean, I couldn't really argue with him. You know, I've been called that a lot of other times, but you know, a lot of times you get that kind of reaction. Now, Lewis, on the other hand, he's an awesome guy. He doesn't react like that, but I mean, I pick on him anyway. But you kind of get that response when challenged. A lot of times they'll pick, you'll see this often, especially on the internet, they'll pick and choose little snippets of information that kind of support whatever claim they're trying to make. You know, hey, these orbs are, this cannot be dust, this orb here it's got to be my great-grandmother. And, you know, here is this paragraph from this website over here that says it could be so. You know, maybe completely out of context. But in that paragraph, there's one sentence that, if you look at it, would support that. And a lot of times, if they know that it's going to be kind of controversial, they're not going to even talk to you about it, you know. In the example I was using with Lewis earlier, you know, it sees me coming, like, no, Frank, I'm not talking about ghosts with you. So, you know, kind of that reaction. And, you know, they're obstinate in their opinion and closed-minded toward change. Now, I promise any believers that are here, I'm not picking on you. I'm just saying that's the fervent believer. All right, then, you know, you notice that last point, believes in or holds on to an idea when all logical thought would suggest it's accurate or false. What you say is it. So then on the opposite end of the spectrum, you got the complete skeptic. We all know a complete skeptic. That's odd. Read that first point there. Often resorts to personal insults when beliefs are challenged. How about that? So say I'm a fervent believer. Lewis is picking on me again. That's a bad thing for somebody like us. So I'm sorry. So Lewis, you complete skeptic. You know, don't know if y'all know that. He just absolutely don't believe. He thinks the whole paranormal is hogwash. He's not interested in it at all. Me, on the other hand, I believe everything I see is paranormal. Orbs, I don't mess with them. They scare me. They're demons. You know, and I'm going to put that statement out there. Now, Lewis hears me make this statement, and what's he say? Frank, you are an idiot. How can you believe this crap? So, you know, that kind of goes back to that first point. You know, they often resorts to personal insults when challenged. There we go to next. Will pick and choose snippets of information, often citing it out of context, to support their position. That's strange. Two opposite ends of the spectrum here, but these first two things look a lot alike, don't they? Let's see, what we got next? Imagine that. Disregards logical data that conflicts with their preformed opinion. Wait a second, this is the same list. How can that be? Avoids discussion of subject matter contrary to personal beliefs held. That'd be kind of like that example I used earlier. You know, Lewis, the hardcore skeptic over here, he sees me go, oh God, there's Frank, I'm not even talking to him. All he's going to want to talk about is some ghosts, and he knows it's a bunch of crap. So, you know, that, you can see that is very similar. Well, the next thing, how about that? Obstinate in their opinion and closed-minded toward change. You know, that would be like, and the example I used was said, you know, Frank, I don't care what you say. I'm not believing in that ghost hogwash. That's a bunch of crap. The only difference in these two, as you'll see, is, here at the bottom, it's believes in or holds on to the idea when all logical thought would suggest it is inaccurate. Okay. For the believer, now the complete skeptic, a little bit different, enjoys debunking and is overly dismissive. No supporting data is considered real or legitimate. That's an important thing to consider. Basically, that person, it doesn't matter what you present. If Lewis is a hardcore skeptic, I can bring him a video that shows the ghost manifesting right there in front of me going, hey, Frank, it's me, I'm a ghost. Show this video to Lewis. Well, when I take this video to Lewis, he's going, that's not real. Nothing is good enough. And their intent is not to understand or comprehend what's going on. Their intent is solely to debunk it or discredit the person presenting. So that is closed-minded as it comes. And you have a lot of people in that category that present themselves under the notion of we're scientific investigators. The big thing is, science is not about debunking, and a lot of people don't realize this. Science is about comprehension. What we know about science changes. The scientific law, who knows anything about Galileo other than he was a poor boy from a poor family? So some of y'all know. If you think of what happened, I mean, he faced the Inquisition because he challenged the whole universe, the whole scientific law. And if you look, scientific law 1,000 years ago said Earth was flat. You go too far, you're going to fall off the edge of the Earth. If the dragon's going to get you first. Then we said, well, maybe the Earth is round, so scientific law changed. Then 500 years ago, well, we know the Earth's round. But everything in the universe revolves around. Well, you know what, then, some old troublemaker comes along saying, that's wrong. That's not true. We revolve around the sun just like everything else that we can see with our telescopes that we have right now. That went over well. Wouldn't you say? I mean, Inquisition wasn't so bad. They were open-minded about it, right? Scientific laws, everything that we know that's science today could be disproven and changed tomorrow. It happens. It's something you think of being in history, but no, it does happen. It just recently happened. I don't know how many of you keep up with a lot of that stuff, but here just several weeks ago, how many of you saw the wormhole photos that were going around? Everybody saw that. Well, with that photo, with some of the research that they were able to do in the subsequent weeks from that, used to the whole thing was, if you could go through the wormhole, then you're going to transport to this other dimension or this other place in space and time. Then, as they got a better look at the wormhole, I said, whoa, you go through that wormhole, you're going to have a bad day. They said, don't go through the wormhole. That's a bad idea. We were wrong. Everything about that we thought we knew about wormholes changed another time that quick, just a few weeks ago. So that stuff happens. All right, so basically this is what we want to try to be. The skeptical believer or the open-minded skeptic. That is kind of the happy place. They're apprehensive of new ideas without being dismissed. Then I can go up to Lewis. It don't matter if he's skeptical or a believer. I can say, hey, Lewis, I got this picture here. How weird looking. Hey, look at it. And he might say, Frank, I don't believe in that stuff. I'll take a look at it, but Be willing to entertain the idea there for a minute, or it might be the other way. You know, it might be him saying, hey, Frank, look at this. He said, you know, I don't believe in that stuff. But I'll listen if you think it might not be paranormal. You know, they're open to suggestions, they're open to ideas. Their mind is not closed off. They're adept at entertaining and relating to an opposing view without adopting it. You know, they can see the other side of it, but they're not. They're able to understand that concept and that train of thought without thinking it for themselves. And regardless of leaning more towards skeptic or believer, they're open to new information as an opportunity to learn or for personal growth. They're somewhat steadfast in their beliefs, but they keep an open mind and willing to adapt and evolve as new information develops. So I'd say that's pretty good. You know, roles in the paranormal. You know, we all have different roles, and there's nothing wrong with it. You know, with me, I tend to be more the researcher than the investigator. I tend to do more speaking, presenting, educating than I do getting out, checking out this whole place, whatever. And but that's what I love, looking at things, finding out things. Now, if you take like Alex, for instance, his isn't geared as much toward research as it is toward the investigation, toward the exploring, toward finding things and discovery, you know. So that, whereas Kevin is completely different from the way that me or Alex operate, but his is more of, you know, helping people, specializing in these objects and, you know, kind of dealing in that area. And, you know, that is, you know, a completely different role. Whereas like Kat is, you know, she's a closet researcher. I'm going to go ahead and call you out on that. You know, she doesn't let many people know it, but she is a science geek. I'm just saying. But she, you know, she does great as a journalist, is putting the information out there for people, you know. She's like, hey, I found this out. This is the person saying it. Let me get this out here. She informs people. So she's kind of in that teacher, that journalist role. She shares information that a lot of people would probably not know if they did not encounter her or somehow get into her orbit. So, you know, every one of us has a different role, but we're all making a contribution. So, you know, it's easy for people to sometimes get that mindset of, oh, Kevin, you know, he just has those haunted dolls and objects and things. And what he does, that's not as important as what Alex does over there. You know, anything. You know, Alex, all he's doing, he's just out he's out going around with the camera or whatever. That's nowhere near as important as Kevin with all of his haunted objects. You know, or neither one of those are as important as Kat, you know, who's talking to people, or conversely, I can say, you know, Kat, she's just talking to people and looking things up and doing research. You know, these guys are out getting out looking at things. You know, everybody's making a contribution, so we have to be careful of that mindset. So, kind of thinking of that, you know, here's a question, because I promised everybody questions, and I want to get some opinions on this. How do religion-based teams differ from most traditional investigators? So, anybody want to throw one out there? Go ahead.
I'm not going to say it's that much difference, but I think the bottom line is what you're saying. You're bringing religion into it, but I think the reality is we all have preconceived notions, and that's what religion does to us. Like any other upbringing we've got, So you're defining everything that you see or feel, just like you brought up Galileo.
Right.
Because that was, he fought religion to get his science across. Up to that point, the church punished him because he said, oh, here we go. I'm sorry you're wrong, but we're not the center of the universe.
Right.
And the church didn't like that. So that's the difference. I think that unfortunately, when we're religious, not all religious based, but a lot of religious based, it's harder for them to overcome a preconceived notion than it may be other beliefs. I don't know if that is.
That's true. And, it was the church that ran the Inquisition. What about something you hear a lot, paranormal clergy or spiritualists, are they interchangeable with investigators, or are they compatible in the dual role? Anybody think that would work?
I think they're compatible in the dual role. The people that I have worked with, in fact, I have a crucifix in my pocket now because I learned not to go anywhere where I'm going to be discussing the occult or the paranormal without some sort of protection, because I had a situation. But the paranormal clergy that I was working with, that is a friend, said, oh, well, you can't leave without us. And it was one that he had taken into many an environment with him. He cleansed it and blessed it and set me up with it.
Yeah.
So they are investigators and they're experiencers, that they've got a whole different.
Yeah, they definitely.
They come to battle sometimes.
There are teams that, that different belief systems. We're born in Alabama, 21st century or 20th century. I'm Christian. Been born in India. You'd be Hare Krishna instead of Jesus, and so forth. So, but that faith can still be a benefit to them. I'm not taking away from that.
Yeah, and whereas, here you hear a lot of people talk about, well, I think that there was a demon in this house or this place, whereas, from a different part of the world, or where another religion is predominant, you might hear described as a jinn or something like that. So the reason I'm asking that is, and this is the thing about it, there's no right or wrong answer here. It's just, some questions just to kind of generate thought. The paranormal teams focused mostly on logical data, basically meaning they tried to put, everything except what they look at in black and white in front of them. If they're mostly on logical data, parapsychology, or science, should they include spiritualists or clergy members on their team?
I think it's absolutely imperative that you have to have people who balance each other out. And balancing these different belief systems with one another, and it's through that you can achieve some real answers to some good questions.
Where did alchemy lead us to?
That is definitely something that, the funny thing is these appear random and everything, but, a lot of people don't ask these questions. And it's surprising. Should a team made up mostly of open-minded believers allow a somewhat skeptical person to join the team, or would it cause too much conflict?
If you're lucky, it'll cause conflict. You have to have some way to make yourself be able to justify your belief.
Okay, and should a team made up mostly of complete skeptics allow a somewhat fervent believer to join?
And they can be non-judgmental.
That one probably a recipe for disaster in most cases.
That one should be a TV show.
Hilarious.
Right. You know, that would definitely, that would almost make a good, like, MMA match or something. Especially if you include alcohol. Now this is something that, this question here, the answers that y'all put out. If you notice, this question has already been answered by your question, or by your answer. Question. What advantages and disadvantages could the team have by adding clergy to their team? We are several different answers from other questions. We heard how, they can challenge, they can add the balance, understand the beliefs of the clients. They round out the team dynamic. So it's a good thing. It's not a negative thing. Everything done within moderation. Thing too is, and we have a lot of people to seminary. What is the subject that they all study? Psychology. Because what is something that a lot of clergy does when they take on that clergy role? They do counseling. So that would also be another big benefit to having a team, is you've got someone who they are academically trained, certified for counseling people, and you've got them on your team. So I'd say that's a pretty big benefit. Yeah. So these are things to definitely consider. And isn't it funny how these questions kind of answer themselves? As long as you're asking the right ones. I mean, because, a lot of people are still trying to figure out if they want to figure out chicken play. So, all right, talking more about what about people with ESP abilities? How can they fit into the paranormal? Should people with ESP abilities become paranormal investigators? That's what I'm going to ask you about. Do you think somebody that, they got paranormal, or said they've got some type of psychic ability, they're sensitive, they're clairvoyant, maybe they're pathetic or something like that, that person should be a paranormal? They might cause some kind of problem or be unreliable. Anybody want to take on that one? Sure.
I think a paranormal investigation team would almost not be complete without someone who's a sensitive, because in a lot of ways it's kind of like fact checking.
Right.
What they can say, what they perceive might help prove or disprove the data that's being collected.
Right. I like that.
Where the data proves them right.
That
Yeah. Vice versa.
I'll tell you why I like to answer so much here in just a few slides. So what the heck is extrasensory perception, and who studies something like that? Now, something I'm going to point out is if you'll notice at the bottom of these slides, I've got a source here. You can see this was pulled from Psychology and Introduction, 2017, 2018 revision by Dr. Russell. That's a psychology textbook. The reason I have my source on there, something you always consider when you're looking at information. Usually, credible information is always going to have the source that they got it from. If it doesn't have a source, that a lot of times in research is applied. That means that it can be plagiarized, it can be manipulated, it can be from another planet, particularly Uranus. That always want to point that out. Parapsychology is study of subjects like extrasensory perception, or what we'll call ESP going forward, outside normal scientific areas of inquiry. Okay, basically, science don't have a clue, and they don't mind telling you, hey, look, we know a lot of stuff, but that going on over there, that crap, we don't know. Okay, that's mystery. That's basically the fancy way of saying that. Para refers to other. So that there's several different forms that parapsychologists study. Four main ones. Telepathy, I know we've all heard of that one. The ability to transmit thoughts over a distance or to read someone's mind is the basic definition of it. There's a little bit more detail to it. Kinesis, or PK, is what we'll call it. You hear this, the ability to move objects or affect physical processes outside the body through mental effort alone. Now, PK is from the actual sense there, is not only moving objects. PK can also refer to anything affecting an object. And anybody seen the movie Carrie? Read the book? Where, she's making things go, turn on fire and stuff's, just going crazy, all that. Everything in that particular movie, by definition, that everything falls into today, under most research, could fall under the category of PK. Clairvoyance. Now let me just kind of back up though. Like you hear someone talk about being a sensitive or someone being an empath. That is kind of able to fall under, it can fall under clairvoyance or it can fall under telepathy. It can go into either category, but we're only doing 4 are the main areas that most people get. Clairvoyance, awareness of physical objects or events without sensory cues. What's that mean? Hey, I know something, but I wasn't able to see it, hear it, smell it, touch it, feel it, I didn't lick it, so I didn't taste it. None of my 5 senses were involved, but I know what happened. That is basically clairvoyance. Clairvoyance is very similar. There are actually a lot. Clairvoyance literally means see, but it's applied to a much broader term. So, that precognition, 4th, ability to see the future. That's something. You ever see those Final Destination movies? Then you've seen an example of precognition. It can happen in dreams, visions, instances of deja vu, a lot of things that fall under that. But these are the 4 main areas that parapsychologists study. Now, I know you're probably thinking, that there's a lot more than 4, right? Because I didn't mention clairaudience, I didn't mention clairsentience, I didn't mention, I did mention deja vu, but I didn't put it as a main category. Empathy, I didn't mention that one. That there's so much. I'll show you why here in just a moment. Many parapsychologists are well-trained scientists. Let me just point that out. Many parapsychologists are well-trained scientists. And once again, many parapsychologists are well-trained scientists. Meaning, many parapsychologists are not people that said, I like this show here on C.A.S.P.I.R. I'm going to watch all 5 seasons of it, buy some stuff off eBay, and call myself a parapsychologist. No, a lot of them actually get a formal education. They get certified in psychology. They, go through all the process, and they are actively involved. You don't hear it called parapsychology very much. A lot of times it's called abnormal psychology or experimental psychology, different things like that. But they're well trained. And very much I can relate to this. They're attracted to the unknown, and that's kind of what drives them. They, kind of like I can relate to, they love science, and it's like, hey, science can't explain this, and that's why it keeps them drawn to it. I love this self-described parapsychologist. I love that term. Other self-described is the key word there. Parapsychologists are less reputable. That should have been in all caps right there. They argue for astral projection, recall of past lives, ghosts, other ideas, inconsistent with the entire body of scientific knowledge. Now, keep in mind, all of this information is here. Psychology, an introduction in 2017, 2018, revision by, this is in a college textbook. So that is why it's important to note that. Even those ideas would be acceptable to the scientists if there was a shred of reputable evidence for them, but there's not. And that is true. I was saying that I don't like a lot of things, and the facts matter more than even my own opinion. That is one of those things that is there. If I'm going to tell you correctly, I have to tell you that. And I'm not going to lie to you, even though it does kind of hurt my feelings that I have to tell you that. But that is what we're doing, is, we're trying to change that one. Because right now there is not replicable evidence. And that's what we're working on finding. Consequently, parapsychologists of that variety work outside the realm of science. The ones that the self-described, the ones that call themselves that. They are generally not accepted within the parapsychology establishment, which prides itself on experimental rigor. So basically what they're saying is you have legitimate parapsychologists, they're trained scientists, they've educated themselves, they operate strictly by the same process as any other scientist. Then they're basically saying, you got some quacks out there that call themselves parapsychologists, but they're not as credible as anyway. And that is, me, I'm a psychology major. I've been investigating for 20 years. However, I'm not a certified psychologist. I'm not certified to treat anyone, diagnose anyone, although I wish I was, because I could probably figure out a lot more people. Probably, it would probably come in handy, especially if you handle their emails. I wouldn't call myself a parapsychologist. So, I can't imagine anyone who has never seriously done research, never seriously acquired any formal education, calling themselves that. But it does that often. So that, the more scientifically inclined parapsychologists publish in peer-reviewed journals devoted to the topic. Examples, the Journal of Parapsychology. That's one of my personal goals, is to one day be able to put something in, not necessarily a parapsychology journal, but into maybe a neuroscience journal, something that is peer-reviewed, and change some of this about there not being a shred of reputable evidence. So, why are there only 4 types of ESP listed when, a lot of you might have heard there's 6 types. I've seen articles going around that says 9 types of ESP, there's 12 types, you hear all this. Well, how many types are there? Here you go. 33. And honestly, that's probably why you don't hear people talking about all of them, because I can't quote all of those from memory, and I've been researching this stuff for 20 years. And to be honest, I don't care to memorize all of this because, some of it is more legitimate than others, and some of it they have to put in the dictionary because it's a popular term, whether it's actual credibility exists or not. So, so here's kind of what we're going to from all of that information. Could a logic-based or scientific team benefit from having members with ESP abilities join? Or could their input compromise the data? We talked about that, and, your interest. But and could a team made up of we'll hold off on that. On this question here, from our own research, something that we've seen, is yes, that is a resounding yes, they can work together very well. As long as it's done in moderation, that what the sensitive for the person with ability senses, if they record it, carefully document it, and compare it beforehand to what's the data say? What does the history say? What readings did we get from our measurements of the site? Does everything correlate? Does it make sense? Does it add up? If there's a logical correlation, then you kind of have a mutual validation there. So that is absolutely a good thing. So sometimes that happens, and that's gold. That's the ideal scenario. Sometimes they conflict like crazy. Should a team made up mostly of believers allow a skeptic to join the team, or would that cause too much conflict? It kind of asked the question the other way around earlier. The main thing is, this is kind of going to the same principle as we're just talking about with the logic-based or scientific team having the person with ESP on the team. It's all about balance. And if you've got a team that's mostly skeptics, as long as they're open-minded skeptics, they probably need a believer on the team to kind of round them off. Kind of say, hey, look, there's really something going here. We can't just simply debunk this or dismiss it. We got to look at it hard. Or the opposite of that scenario, say you got, a team full of believers, they need a skeptic on the team somewhere to keep them from getting too far out there. Somebody say, hey, look, time to reel it back in, let's come back down to earth, that it's all about balance and moderation. And I think we just answered that one. I'd asked here, could a logic-based or scientific team benefit from having members with ESP abilities join, or would it compromise the data? That the other questions, guess what? They answered that one for us. So, funny way that works. I love this one. True or false? Team members with ESP abilities, they'll need as much training because their findings and feelings are more valuable than typical investigation data. Is that true or false?
That's false. They have to be able to interpret their own feelings and perceptions.
Yeah.
They also need a way to control those abilities as well. Otherwise, they're probably going to leave themselves terminally deaf.
Yep. I would definitely agree. I always, I always tell people that one would definitely be false. Because if anything, they're gonna need more training. Because they're not just learning how to use equipment, how to record data, the principles of that, but they're at that point where they have to learn, okay, well, say they're a clairvoyant. Well, how do I distinguish what I'm sensing through this ESP ability from something that nobody else here is seeing versus something that everybody else here is seeing? And to me, they have to work a lot harder to be an investigator. And they have a lot more to be effective. There's a lot more training involved. Enough about parapsychology. Let's see. So we're going to talk about how vulnerable are we outside suggestions influencing our investigation. And are we vulnerable to contaminating our results with our own preconceived notions and ideas? And how influenceable are we really? Now, this is something that I know Lewis and Kevin can probably talk about quite a bit, and a lot of the research that they've done for their books and things. You hear about a place, and you're like, hey, that house down the street here, that's where the murder happened. That, I don't know if you know this or not, but that's where Old Man Jones, for lack of creativity at the moment, Old Man Jones is famous. Shot the whole family, and he committed suicide. Went crazy. He just snapped. And they say ever since that happened, 100 years ago, good red number, right? That you can hear the gunshots and the screams at midnight. It's terrifying. I know somebody that posted on Facebook. They went in there and they tried to stay the whole night. And they couldn't do it. They had to leave. They got so terrified. I was gonna do it, but I went up there, and after hearing everything about that place, when I walked up there, I started getting nervous, scared, and everything. And the closer I got to that house, the shakier I got. I was sitting in there alone, and I could almost hear the gunshots. And I just didn't make it to midnight. I don't know about that place. Maybe somebody like Lewis can go check it out and see if we're ever dying. That's for sure. What do you see going on in that scenario? That outside suggestion, that preconceived notion, and basically what is happening when somebody does that, whether consciously or not, they're psyching themselves up. In their mind, they're already expecting Old Man Jones's ghost to be in there getting ready to shoot up everybody again, right at midnight. And they're expecting to be scared to death when that happens. So what kind of mental state are they putting themselves into? That they're preparing themselves for it, anticipating it to happen. So that is, our mind, even though it's a subconscious thing, when we expect something, we brace for it, we prepare it. So that's kind of what happens there, and that happens in a lot of situations. The Villisca Axe Murder House, I was mentioning that. A lot of people won't even go on that street. Now, when we investigated there's nothing scary about that place. Yeah, it was active, but nothing about that place screamed terror or, I never felt like I was in any kind of danger while I was there. But a lot of people are scared to death that the killer, there's an axe murderer hiding in the attic of that place. And his ghost is still up there. And they psych themselves up. So the power of suggestion definitely affects us a lot. If you expect something to happen, if someone or something suggests to you a specific outcome, your expectations of that outcome play a major role in its occurrence. The expectation or suggestion alone, often unconsciously, changes your behavior and your responses to help bring into reality the outcome you were expecting. Think about that. Basically, just the expectation or suggestion alone can subconsciously change your behavior and your responses to bring into reality the outcome you expect. Now, keep in mind, this is not my own, this isn't one of those, some of that information from Uranus I was talking about. This is actually from 4 ways the power of suggestion can change your life. Research shows why self-fulfilling prophecies so often come true, by Polly Campbell, who is a PhD in psychology, and that was actually published in a Psychology Today article in 2015. So I can point to you exactly who put that up there, when, and it was somebody that had a lot more education in psychology than I did. I mean, I plan on getting to that level one day, but right now she's ahead of it. So that's what the experts in the field are saying, is if you expect it to happen strong enough, then it's probably going to happen. Whether, no matter how much reality is that it's actually happening, the way you perceive it is going to be that's what's going on. Because suddenly, that knock on the outside of the house isn't the tree limb calling the wind. That's old man Jones getting a shotgun. And then you're terrified, running. This is something that I always love talking about. We see this so often. I understand the effects of the power of suggestion, but I know what I saw. Doesn't seeing something firsthand count as credible evidence? No. Or to actually break that down and put it in a long answer? No. Pareidolia is tendency to perceive a specific, often meaningful image on a random, ambiguous pattern. Basically, the short definition of that is your brain looks and it sees a face, it sees a familiar object from just randomness, from a random pattern where there is nothing intended to be there. That is from Merriam-Webster's definition of it. It doesn't mean that you're crazy. Okay. That's where something, I hear a lot of people say, I can look at this pattern and, I see a face when I see it. But I promise I'm not crazy. No, you're not. Actually, that means your brain's working. It's doing what it's supposed to. That's a survival instinct that kept our ancestors alive long enough when, back in the old days when, they were rubbing sticks together and, back when they would go clubbing on dates, it wasn't going to a dance club, it was more in a literal sense. But that's a whole different, that's an anthropology presentation. I'll look at that later. There were real dangers. People didn't move around very much in the dark, dimly lit conditions, and our brains had to be able to spot predators. We had to be able to spot threats, And that pile of bushes over there, is that just a pile of bushes, or is there, is there a mountain lion hiding in those bushes over there that's fixing to have me for dinner? That's kind of how that goes. Is that my friend over there, or is that one of my enemies? That's kind of where pareidolia comes in. It's that process in the brain, and pareidolia is a sign of a healthy brain. It's doing what it's supposed to. Here are some examples of pareidolia. We got the killer turkey. that door latch right there looks a little bit too happy to be a door latch. Now, this one here is not paranoia. That's how my coffee actually looks at me every day. It smiles at me. I smile back after about 2 cups. The chair, you know, it's welcoming. You know, everything there, you know, if you look at it, you see some type of face. And actually, if you don't see a face in that, then you should probably get checked. That means you're closer to being crazy than if you do see a face. And something some of you might not know about, the face on Mars, by the way, did anybody know about that being debunked? Because I still see the picture there on the internet, but I rarely ever see the detailed photo where they actually debunk it. So, then something here similar to paranoia, but a little bit different, apophenia. Apophenia is similar. It involves taking random information that's not connected and making a connection. Apophenia is what drives conspiracy theories and things like that. Apophenia is, for instance, I'm in here and, you know, I say, so we're investigating this building and, you know, I'm listening real close. Just heard a sound over there. And I heard a sound there. Something moved. Wait. And I just mentioned Old Man Jones just a few minutes ago, and now I'm getting activity over here. And it must be Old Man Jones followed me from the place that I ran out of to this building, and now he's over there in the corner moving stuff. And now we're on the danger. That kind of putting that connection that would make absolutely no sense whatsoever together. That's kind of what apophenia is. It's taking things that are absolutely not connected at all, and before you know it, you've got this big idea, this big conspiracy theory together that is absolutely not that. And that can, now if you're having, if apophenia is a problem, then yeah, you might be leaning a little bit toward the crazy side. You know, that can be an issue. That can lead toward the paranoid, schizophrenic side. You know, that one does come with some issues. But you do see it happen. You know, this kind of talks about the difference here. Tendency to see patterns that do not exist is apophenia. You know, to see patterns, to see faces, images, shapes, things like that inside patterns. There it goes. Now, something that a lot of people have never heard of, auditory paranoia. Sometimes you'll hear it called matrix. That is the same way that we can look at something, you know, ink blot test. That, you know, we've all seen those. You look at it and see a shape, you know, Kevin might look at it and see, you know, a happy family at the picnic. I might look at it and see an Easter bunny with razor blades playing a guitar and juggling chainsaws. You know, and let's look at the same thing. You know, well, who's right? Well, you know, don't know. That's where those ink blot tests are designed, but that would be paranoia because it's literally neither one of those images. It's a blot. Paranoia is when instead of the noise I'm hearing from the speaker, and I start hearing suddenly, it sounds kind of like AC/DC. You know, if I'm up here starting to kind of hear things from that, the most common time you'll hear that in the paranormal, you'll hear those real faint people say, "Man, I got this EVP. I can hear it. It's saying my name. You know, listen." And you listen, you're like, what? That doesn't sound anything like that. You know, that's where, that's why, something that I had to tell team members back years ago when we first put CASPIR together was I actually had to tell people, do not wear polyester on investigations. Because, you know, windbreakers and the jumpsuits were really popular. And would you believe that polyester windbreaker pants, you know, when you walk, those legs are up together, that makes a really good get out EVP. You wouldn't think it's that. But you do, you hear, get out, get out, get out. So, that's a little grace code together. Then you hear the chains rattling. No, it was just too many. We had some people that, there for a while, we had a couple members that were, their fashion sense was a little out there. Yeah. So auditory pareidolia, it can happen. Can you experience pareidolia and apophenia at the same time? Absolutely, and it's pretty rough when that happens. Because that's basically, you know, that's when you're looking at that random pattern and you're seeing something that fits in that theory that you've already made up, you know. You know, you see that, you know, some of the examples I've got up here is, you know, like with some of the UFOs, you see it, you know, in some of the religious circles, you know, you see, who's seen the video of the crazy woman on YouTube and everything where, you know, she's got a picture of Jesus on her toast. And her toast is, her toaster is cold. And she's like, you know, enshrining her toaster because it produced a picture of Jesus on it. So, you know, and she is not being sarcastic about it. She really believes it. That's an example of what apophenia and pareidolia. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure that if Jesus was going to make an appearance, he's not going to be on the crazy cat lady's toast. I'm just saying. Probably a few better venues to appear in. So on this, I've got something you might have seen before, might not. Kind of moving on from that. One other thing I want to ask about the apophenia and paranoia. We're going to do a test. Y'all know I have tests involved in it.
We will be shocked if you didn't.
What do you see? You're the only person that's ever answered this question right. He said who? You know, it's funny. A lot of times if I post a picture of this on the internet, people say the craziest stuff, you know. Have it sitting there, you know. Nothing like that. You know, take a nice picture. That's a nice hula hoop. You know, I covered that myself in red. You know, it was all crazy looking and glittery when I bought the thing. I'm proud of it. Take a picture of it and say, what do you think? People say, it's a spirit. It's a ghost. I don't see anything. How are you going to miss a big red circle like that? You know, but nobody ever guesses my hula hoop. You actually, I feel proud. It's something that not that cool to do. But how many times you see the pictures on the internet where there is nothing in that picture except a bunch of pixel grains, but you got big red circle there. So, you know, so apparently this is more popular in the paranormal than any one investigator. So y'all keep an eye on it because strange things tend to happen around the red pool. Faces, demons, random, you know. So all right, so the test. pay close attention to this video and count how many times the players wearing white pass the basketball. Okay, now there's going to be players in white, players in white. Test is to see if you can spot how many times the one in white pass. Let's see.
Oh, there you go.
And
Couldn't help but see.
So, all right, so how many of you didn't see the gorilla? So,
I thought that was Facebook.
yeah, that's what I always say. So you know, that is what's called selective focus. All right, so now that gorilla wasn't hidden, you know, he comes right off in the middle of the screen, stands there, turns around, beats his chest, and then walks off in the middle of all this that you're focused on. And over half the people missed the gorilla.
You know, I saw the gorilla, but I didn't see him till he,
Right.
I didn't see him walk in.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, it's amazing actually how many people don't see it. That is what selective attention is. There's a very good reason that I'm showing this to you. So, tell you what, let's try something else. So, you know, that was kind of dirty, you know, you probably weren't expecting a gorilla to, you know, and all that going on in the middle of the basketball court. But, you know, I personally enjoy these research videos, you know, because the way I say anything that involves psychology and antics and shenanigans with a gorilla suit, you know, it's got to be good, right? I mean, that's how I look at it. Let's try this. All right, so how many times is football caught? How many of y'all get it?
yeah.
Everybody got it? No gorillas, I promise. Count on that one. So yeah, the outhouse definitely it changes from blue to green. On this, you know, keep in mind this isn't way off. You know, it's right in the middle of the screen. You know, right there, right in where you're focused. So you can see how even though you're focusing on something, it's easy to miss. Tell you what, did everybody see both of those things? Did y'all catch the basketball goal and the house change goal? Let's try one more thing. Yeah, this sounds familiar. No, Frank, you're not getting this again. Okay, did anybody not see the gorilla? Everybody saw the gorilla that time, right? That, did y'all catch the curtain changing or the player leaving? So, you know, I don't know why they said that. When you're looking for a gorilla, you can miss other things. The, the thing about it is we overestimate our attention so often. Basically, what happens is we think, you know, we're not going to miss anything, but we can sit there and stare at something directly in front of us, and you can have a guy walking in front, directly across him in a gorilla suit. That's not even noticing. Because you know how big our actual field of focus is? You're going to see, I mean, yes, we do have high definition vision and focus and everything, but the actual amount that you see is, hold your put your thumb there. That's it. That is about the size of an area that you can focus on completely in high definition. Everything else outside that area kind of gets, you know, out of focus, kind of the brain makes up a little as it goes, you know, just fills in the end. And even one particular area that you're consciously focusing on you can miss. So.
Now, excuse me. So, scenario with the gorilla and everything, if they were performing there and we were sitting here, we also have the peripheral vision.
Yep.
As opposed to what we were watching.
Yeah, so then you've got a lot larger area that you're trying to compensate for and take in, and a lot more distraction, actually. So yeah, it would be much easier to miss things. Now, the reason I pointed out that about the selective focus, what do we do on paranormal investigations a lot of times, especially if you see it on TV? Turn off the lights, make it dark, make it spooky. Okay, so now we already know how limited our focus actually is. Well, guess what? Now, out of that limited focus, we've limited it even more. And then what do? We got gadgets that we carry around, you know. That, we got the ones that we look at the meter and, you know, we're walking around in the dark, it's right here and going, hey, if you're here, light up this meter. Hey, if you're here, talk to us, you know, do this. We're walking around. How much stuff are we missing? You know, that, if we can miss something as big as a gorilla in the middle of a, you know, does that not?
Well, the thing that kind of surprised me about these type shows, when you say it, and they turn the lights out,
Yeah.
is that they go on report that other people, they like, but it was light.
Right, because if it's completely dark, you know, people pay all that money for those gadgets and for the light up, and they think noise and all of this. When they're thinking these things are going to make my investigation better. It's doing this. It's distracting. If it makes no noise, y'all heard it. Oh, and it's only 5 bucks. Piece of- and does it very effective. It lights up, it makes it, and it distracts. Except this is made for pretty much makes a difference. So that's a lot cheaper than what they charge for most of that stuff. So think about it. What if you're in the dark, or you're out in an unfamiliar environment? Say you're in an abandoned building somewhere you're not familiar with, and then on top of the limited amount of focus, you're carrying around something that's lighting up, making noise. You're trying to juggle a video camera, and you don't know how much you could be missing. Both in the sense of things that could be happening that are unexplainable, and I mean actual threats. There could be somebody hiding over there that's waiting to mug you. As soon as you point the camera the other way, that. Especially if you're in an abandoned place or something, and you're not going to know it. So that's something a lot of people never consider. That's kind of what I talked about here on the slide, which we'll completely ignore because I've got it a little hidden. So let's see. So the thing about this, we're already distracted. We're tripping around in the dark. We're juggling between cameras, gadgets, everything else. And, you think that might help, you think that might increase our reaction to paranoia or agoraphobia? When I mentioned it, I had this thing in my pocket. And I bumped my pocket, and it came on, it started playing. That must be a spirit singing to me. That's, that if a lot of people would make a correlation like that, they would think that, well, it's all got to be connected. It couldn't be. So, how can we learn some best practices to keep from falling into that trap? How can we improve our visual field to keep chances of paranoia to a minimum? That, for one, I would recommend make sure that you've got enough light to see what you're doing. A lot of the places that I've investigated have had many more reports of paranormal activity happening during the daytime than at night. If I'm walking around and it's pitch dark, there could be a ghost appear 3 feet away from me juggling chainsaws. Am I going to see it? No, it's dark. And everybody knows how in the dark, on the outside of this, things look different. It's easier to mistake something and see something there that isn't. So, I mean, that's kind of a common sense question there. Auditory paranoia, I would recommend avoiding things like the spirit boxes, the apps, stuff like that, because it's really easy. Kind of like that we're talking about the power suggestion. If I say, if I say, what is your favorite color? And something's spitting out random, then it's really easy for that auditory paranoia to kick in. And all of a sudden I'm expecting blue, red, green, yellow, something like that. So anything that is close to, anywhere close to it, boom, guess what? Validation. Whether that's actually what happened or not, that's what my mind's gonna hear. Because as as it's suggested in the psychology textbook, when we think it and expect it, that power of suggestion increases the odds of us creating that outcome. What are some subjects we should research to improve our investigation techniques by better understanding unusual but naturally explainable phenomena? Basically what that's getting into is things that, just to kind of simplify and to not to kind of speed things along. That is one of the things where you run into electrical issues, plumbing issues. Something I've seen happen a lot of times is a lot of people don't realize older homes had the metal water pipes. And the metal water pipes a lot of times were used as a ground for the electric. So what happens when people would go into, the paranormal investigators go in there, and they're thinking that the little K2 meters or whatever are magic ghost detectors, right? So they get near the water pipes that are grounded to the electrical, and all of a sudden it starts going off on a wall where they don't see any electrical. So what happens? Strange activity in this wall. So, and the reason is because they don't understand that, no, it's not a ghost, it's not anything, it's the water pipes in the ground to the electrical system. Seen that happen a lot. One case that we had a house that was haunted by the fish aquarium. He'd been there before us. They told the guy, he was terrified. They told him that there's this negative entity in the house. They cleansings, exorcisms, everything else on the guy that you're going to live. And this was the old home place. The guy hated it. He was, needless to say, he was distraught over it. Come find out, the fish aquarium, the air pump for it, had some felt missing off the bottom of it. It was off balance, it's sitting up there, kind of doing that. And it was sitting on top of a wooden dresser wedged in its wall. So what happens is it's vibrating, this low pitch frequency that it's too low for us to hear, but sound pressure still affects us, called infrasound. And it causes a panic response. It can even cause us to have the particular frequency this was vibrating at. Can even cause us to see hallucinations, to panic attacks, nausea, all kinds of insane reactions to it, even though we can't hear it. We literally unplugged this fish aquarium. 30 minutes later, his house was no longer home. So that sort of thing definitely happens. So you need to know electrical, you need to know some plumbing, you need to know biology, you got to know psychology. It's just, there's so many different things that you need to study. Biggest safety concerns. First off, don't break your neck because you're wandering around in the dark. That's always a good place to start, Watch for wildlife, unless you're Alex, who chases. I don't mind going after ghosts or whatever, but Bigfoot wouldn't have to attack me. If I saw one, that would be it. That'd be the end of it. He's a braver man than I am, because you'd find me. I'd be pale-faced, probably have snake on the back. That's where I'd be. That I can't imagine, but you don't want to get out somewhere and get bitten by a snake or a spider, or I don't want to encounter it. Good luck on you, stay safe. Good luck. Better get big. You don't want to go somewhere that's contaminated with something. yourself safe. I mean, just common sense stuff. Then, how can we improve investigations if we can't explain an occurrence? Does that make it paranormal? No. That's something I see happen a lot. I can't explain it, so it must be paranormal. No. Ask somebody that's a little bit more about it, though. And that's often the step that people skip before they call paranormal. I know I've had many things that I couldn't explain, but somebody else could. And so that's something we have to watch out for. I kind of talked a little bit about common natural occurrences. If equipment can hinder us more than it helps, what should we use on investigations? Equipment is another one. What happens when pair that with a good video camera to document everything, and that's really about all you need during an investigation. You don't want to get good measurement. You don't want to find out what's going on, anything unusual. But during the investigation, you want to keep the stuff. It's basically where it's headed for. And but no one to explain it. Nobody that we talk to can explain it. And it is completely outside of love. This is something that I always emphasize to everybody. So, here's a photo that I have. I thought it was paranormal. I showed it to somebody and they debunked it in 5. That's not paranormal out here. I'll show you exactly what that is. That means the place is not haunted or that nothing paranormal is going on. Absolutely not. I have been in places that one night, there's this old sanatorium that I've investigated many times out in West Arkansas. That I remember going there one time. I went there 2 nights in a row. The first night, there was a storm came up just before we started. That night, the activity was off the charts. We were hearing bangs and we were hearing footsteps and things were being moved. It was literally, it was insanely active. One of the most active I've ever investigated. The very next thing happened. So here it is. So if I were to judge and say, that places. experimental psychology, normal psychology. Colleges, they even, uh,